In today's math class, we'll be learning how to determine probability using quarters. First, we will go over some math terms to help us better understand what we are doing in the math class today. Next, we will go over possible outcomes of flipping a quarter. And then last, we will work together to solve a few math problems of a quarter being flipped. The first math term is determine. According to Webster's dictionary, determine means to find out or come to a decision about by investigation, reasoning, or calculation. The second math term is probability. The word probability means the total number of possible outcomes of an event. So we are going to use calculations to find out the outcome of flipping a quarter a certain amount of times. There are two sides to a quarter, heads and tails. So if we flip a quarter once, there's two possible outcomes, heads or tails. Here's a math problem. Let's say we want to find the probability of the quarter landing heads when flipped once. The equation to solve the problem would be the probability of the event, or capital P, open parentheses, capital A, close parentheses, is equal to number of favorable outcomes over total number of possible outcomes. To use this equation for the math problem, we would write out capital P, open parentheses, capital A, close parentheses, equals 1/2. Because there is only one way event A can happen in this scenario, and there are two total outcomes, heads or tails, in addition, 1/2 equals 50%. 50%. Which means there is a 50% chance of the quarter landing heads on one flip. Now let's say we want to find out the probability of the quarter landing heads on 3 flips. In the picture above, it shows that all possible outcomes of flipping heads 3 times in a row. T stands for tails, and H stands for heads. The tree diagram shows 8 possible outcomes when tossing a quarter. 3 times, and getting heads each time only happens once. To write this equation, it would be capital P, open parentheses, capital A, close parentheses, equals 1/8. Let's try 2 more, and then we can move on to the quarter flipping activity we are going to do. What is the probability of the quarter being flipped 3 times that it would land heads twice? Looking at the tree diagram, 3 of the outcomes have 2 heads, which we would write out as capital P, open parentheses, capital B, close parentheses, equals 3/8. We put B because getting heads all 3 times was event A, and getting heads 2 times would be event B. For event C, we'll find out the probability of getting at least 2 heads. Getting at least 2 means 2 or more heads in this case. We know there's a 1/8 probability of getting 3 heads in a row, and we know there was a 3/8 probability of getting 2 heads, so 1/8 plus 3/8 equals 4/8, which we will simplify the fraction to 1/2. Okay, does anyone have any questions? If not, now let's do some quarter flipping. I know I'm going to hand out worksheets to tally your quarter flips on and quarters for you to flip.